Welcome to Sustainable Leadership Live. I'm Lisa Danforth, your host, and today I am here with the delightful Dorien Morin-van Dam from Morin Media. Dorien, thank you for joining us.
I'm so excited to be here, Lisa. Thank you for having me. I think I've been on your show before.
You were
I
my
swear this is
very first guest for Sustainable Leadership Live, so we're bringing you back. We're almost into 3.5, 4 dozen shows, so perfect way to sort of bring it in. And today we're going to be talking about Agile for small teams. Talk about an amazing way to help you be more sustainable all the way around. I would love to know, how did you get into this, Doreen? The agile marketing, whether it's with, agile teams, whether it's with marketing or any other teams?
So it's a great question. I wish I'd known about Agile when I was raising my family, right? It can be applied to anything. I mean, if you have an event that you need to put together or you're going on a trip, you can use Agile methodology and Agile framework to get anything organized and get anything done better, faster, quicker, right? Because that's really Agile process was developed for the software development industry where, you have a piece of software, think iOS 1, we're now at iOS 16, right? How many iterations, how many changes have there happened? And every time you make a change is because you get feedback from the user that says, hey, there's a bug, this doesn't work. And then you update the software and then you get better. Well, you can do that with any aspect in your life. But when you have a small team, it's really great to apply these agile principles and values to your team. And what happened to me is that I'm a social media marketer, and I had a client who is an enterprise coach for Agile. And so I kind of dove into Agile, not knowing much about it. And one day she just kind of stealthily sent me an article about Agile marketing. And she's like, you can apply all of this stuff that I teach to marketing. And I was like, mind blown, like completely like, oh my gosh, I want to learn. So I signed up for a workshop. I signed up for Agile marketing workshop. And for, retrospectively thinking back, I probably should have done an Agile foundation course, which I didn't do until like 2 years later. But I was like, I want to learn. I'm a marketer. I want to learn Agile marketer. And I went to the workshop in person. And then when it was over, the world shut down. It was like March 13 or 14, something like that of 2020. So I went home and I was like, okay, I know theoretically what Agile is and what Agile marketing is, but how does it apply to me? I'm a team. At that time, I was a team of one. So there was a lot
So
of...
it's good for a team of one as well. Just, okay.
A team of one. But there's not a whole lot of information out there how to be agile as a team of one. So I really struggled. I actually hired a coach and I was like trying to talk to other people. How do you do? And marketing. And it just came back to everybody that I knew that was doing agile marketing was an in-house team. Until I met a small agency. They're based in Tenerife, and they were applying agile principles to how they were creating content. So I was able to spar with them and go back and forth. What tools do you use? How do you use it? What do you do? What practices do you put in place? And really started just implementing and said, I just got to do agile in order to be agile.
So can you just talk a little bit about agile? Really, what is it? What's the foundation? Because you said Scrum, or I don't know, something. There's a couple of words, right? So we're just to sort of clarify it, so we're clear on what Agile is.
Okay, so Agile came from the software industry. There are two frameworks, Scrum and Kanban, right now, that are big. And Agile is really all about a mindset. There's 4 things you have to have in the mindset of being Agile. So there's a difference between doing Agile and being agile. And doing agile, anybody can do agile. You can get a tool and, do a mind map, or, you can do agile with, in our industry, like do a Monday or a Trello board, then you're doing agile. But being agile is really about the mindset. And that's a couple of things, 4 things. The first one is be relentlessly improving. Always look for improvements. Always look for, how can I do this better next time, right? Relentless improvements. Second one, is continuous curiosity. Never stop learning. Always. And in social media, that means you need to be a consumer of the content, not just a creator of the content. You have to read a blog, watch the videos, do the shorts, be on TikTok, be on Instagram, right? Consuming the content, continuous curiosity. The third one is team collab. If you're, and this is an example I use, if you're a video editor and you're in your little studio and you're in charge of editing video, and you get video sent to you, but you don't know the goal, you don't know where it was recorded, you don't know what emotion you're trying to evoke, and you don't even know where it's going to go, whether it goes to Instagram or YouTube, or if it's going to go on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you don't know who the audience is, it doesn't work. So you need to be part of a team that talks about what video you're going to produce before you produce it and what the goal is, right? So instead of getting sent something and said, can you just edit it? You're part of the team that talks about, this is what we want to create. And so you can add value ahead of time and say, well, if this is what we want to do, you need this angle, you need this kind of tape, you need this kind of B-roll, you need these kind of props, because you're part of the team. And so team collab is really important.
And I can see how, whether it's marketing, a video, or whatever, it's with any team, it's that collaboration, it's the communication, it's being willing to be curious. Like it is all cohesive. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
And then the last piece to the agile mindset, Lisa, is the willingness to fail. And that is such a hard concept. It was like, oh no. But that comes with being creative and saying, I have this idea, having psychological safety on the team and saying, I have this idea, I'm raising my hand. I would like people to listen. I would like people to hear me out. And I would like our team to put this into practice and see if it works, right? Throwing spaghetti at the wall and make it stick is one way. But another thing is to talk it out as a team and to, as a team, say, we're going to try this new thing and be willing to fail. But at least we have tried. And I think that's really, really, really powerful.
So can you talk a little bit about Scrum and Kanban and where those come in, whether it's with marketing or maybe using an example of just a regular corporate team of some sort? Or, actually not corporate, because it's small teams, right?
Right. So in-house marketing team, if we talk about agile marketing and in-house corporations, there are teams that are using frameworks like Scrum and Kanban. And the challenge was for me is that those teams are usually larger, and those teams have other teams that they work with. So it might be you can use Agile in sales, in marketing, in HR, of course, in software development, in operations. So you would, in your team that you're in, you would almost put like the blinders on. And in Scrum, it's like called a sprint. We are only going to work on this project from this Monday to the next Friday. So like a 2-week sprint. And we're not going to be pulled any other direction. Now, when you're an in-house team, you can do that, right? You're in the sprint. You have a starting line and a finish line. Put that into a small team or content creation team or a social media agency. That's not realistic.
No.
I can't say I'm going to be doing content creation for 2 whole weeks. I'm going to ignore all my emails. I'm going to not talk to my accountant. I'm not going to talk to my client. It doesn't work that way. So I'm working on translating these framework and these practices, like a daily, a sprint, a daily stand-up meeting, a backlog, a retrospective. Those are 4 practices that I use, in using them in a small team. And the first one I can explain sort of is a sprint. A sprint is where you have a time-boxed amount of time and you work on a project. Now, like I said, in an in-house team, you would have a 2-week sprint and you ignore everything else, because if it's not in the sprint, you're not working on it. You can't do that in a small team. But you can do a sprint. For example, you could do a sprint every day from 1 to 3 and say, our team is going to do a daily sprint from 1 to 3 p.m. We're going to work on this event planning that we're working in 6 months. We're having a big event. We're going to work on it every day from 1 to 3. Everybody blocks their agenda. That's our sprint. We're not going to turn off all other distractions, and we're going to work on that, and we're going to work on these things together. So if somebody says, because that's what happened to me, somebody said to me, well, I am on a social media team, but PR comes to us, sales comes to us, management comes to us. They want all these things, and they want them done yesterday. I can't be in a sprint and still work with those teams. I'm like, well, you can be in part of the day. You can be in the sprint. So the difference between a deadline and a sprint is a deadline, you just have the finish line. But in a sprint, you have a starting line and a finish line. Think about that, Lisa.
Very clear. What keeps popping up for me is having a common language. How important is that with having these small teams?
It is very, very important. So that's why a course like an Agile Foundations course, I think is really great if you want to work on your team and want everybody kind of on the same page. But that common language also comes with the onboarding process. So in a regular team, and I've been on part of a lot of different teams, I would join a marketing team and they go, oh, we use this tool. Get familiar with this tool. Here, get on and learn the dashboard. And then I might learn about their clients, and then maybe about their marketing values, and maybe about their business values. And then at the end, somewhere there's mindset. When you onboard somebody on an Agile team, you flip it around.
I love that.
Completely flip it around. You onboard somebody and say, this is the mindset. This is our team. We want you to be a collaborative member. We want you to have psychological safety. It's okay to fail. We want to try things. We want you to be curious. We want you to keep learning. We want to learn together, grow together. Then you might talk about marketing principles and values that you find important. And only when you've onboarded them and explained to them and shown them how your team works, will you set them up in front of the tools and say, can you learn this tool? And that's a completely different way of onboarding somebody. Yes.
Makes so much more sense. I mean, so much more effective, not just efficient, but effective. And that's really what we're looking for. That certainly helps us with that sustainability piece, no matter what level of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So go back to sprints. I think this was the aha moment for me. I don't know if anybody who's watching, but if you've ever been on a deadline, say the deadline's 2 weeks out, that feels so far away. I'll use the example of packing. I'm going on a trip, right? Packing. And so you're thinking, okay, well, I have 2 weeks to pack. I don't need to think about it. But then you're like 2 days away. You're like, oh, maybe I should make a packing list. And then you make your packing list and you realize that you still need to go to the store and get things that are on your packing list. What if you did it in a sprint and you did your packing in sprint? So day one, you're like, okay, this is the starting line. I'm going to do the list first. And I'm going to divide the list in things that I still need to buy, things that I need to wash, things that I need to gather for my house, things that I might need to borrow for my trip. And so then you get started on parts of these lists. And so then by the time you pack, it's so simple. Mm-hmm. And you don't have that anxiety, I'm going to forget something. You're not going to end up on your trip and saying, ooh, I've thought about this thing, like, this darn power bank. I was going to order it and then I forgot to order it and I was going to borrow it and then I forgot to borrow it. And then now I don't have a power bank. That's happened to me before. But applying the Agile mindset of starting line and finish line, it really takes anxiety, takes guesswork, it takes mistakes out of the equation because you start early enough. And then combine it with the daily stand-up. What did I do yesterday? Mm-hmm. What am I doing today? And where am I stuck? Well, I'm stuck because I need to go to Amazon and order the darn power bank, right? For my trip that's coming up. And if I don't do it, and yesterday I was stuck because I didn't do it. Today I'm stuck, I didn't do it. If I don't do it by tomorrow, I'm going to miss out on this opportunity because I'm not going to have it because I'm too late. So getting the deadline, but start having that starting line is really, really, really powerful when you work on a project.
And I'm really hearing that it supports you in prioritizing the actions, right? You know that the power pack is really easy, but knowing that you need to do it first sets other things up as well.
Right. And that's a great gateway to the other practice, which is a backlog. It's a to-do list, but it's a prioritized to-do list. So how about that? How about you have all these things, your clients tell you all these things. And of course, the client comes to you. If you're a social media person, I need it done yesterday, right? But your client's emergency should not be yours. So you should every day, what am I going to do today? That question that you ask yourself in a daily stand-up, prioritize what is due sooner than later and what you need to work on, right? So every day you have that prioritized list. And I'm going to tell you something else. When you practice Agile, it means that you touch your clients more often. You have more touch points. And so when you have that, those emergencies become less and less and less and less. And they just don't happen anymore because you talk to your clients so often, you know what's going on. When I became Agile, I met with my clients more frequently, and there aren't any emergencies anymore.
It almost sounds counterintuitive, right? You meet with your clients more. It seems like it would be way more time consuming than it is. But because you're doing it so effectively and efficiently, it decreases the amount of time that if it's response time or whatever. But again, that just sounds so counterintuitive, but it makes complete sense the way that you just explained it.
Yeah. So the backlog is a prioritized list, and nothing goes into your sprint unless it comes out of the backlog. So anything that the client comes in and says, I need you to update blog posts, or I need you to write this, or I want you to do this, or I want to work on this strategy, or I need to get these orders signed, it goes into backlog first. And then the next morning, when you say, this is what I'm working on, you can look to your backlog and say, this is priority, or put it into a sprint if it's a longer project. So it really, and for example, another sprint example would be, you and I are both speakers, Lisa. So when I go and create a new keynote speech, or I need to prepare something that's really targeted to a specific audience for an event that I'm speaking at, I might do a sprint for the day. I might block my whole Monday or my Friday, which are my content creation days. I turn off all notifications, all distractions, and I just start working on it. I could pull in my team and say, can you look at this? Can you, give me feedback? I got this far. But you just put your blinders on. This is priority. This needs to get done. And it really is amazing when you start working like that, because it really is so productive, instead of doing a little bit here and a little bit there, and then you don't get it done. And
right, I can do it later.
I can do it later. Oh man, that's a good one. That used to be.
I've done that a couple times.
I know.
Can you please repeat the 3 questions a little more slowly so people can really grasp them and the importance of them? Because they are so powerful. You've taught them to me.
Yeah. So every day when I get to my office, I do a stand-up meeting. Stand at my desk and I say, what did I do yesterday? And this is where the honesty piece comes in. If I spent 2 hours on TikTok, I'm going to say it out loud and say, you spent 2 hours on TikTok, Dorien. What did you learn? Was that good? Or, did you get behind? So that's one of the things, and then also praise myself when I was like, man, I got so much stuff done yesterday. And then figure out why, always look to improve. Right. Like I did really well because I turned off the notifications, or I ignored this, or, I had a cup of coffee, or I went for a run in the morning and that's why I felt good, right? Analyzing, always improving. So what did I do yesterday? Then the next question is, what am I going to do today? Look to your backlog, look at what sprint you're working on, look at what needs to get done, that prioritized to-do list. And then the third question you ask yourself is, where am I stuck?
That's so
big. It's so big because if you do have a team, if you have 2 or 3 team members, and the team member keeps saying, well, I'm stuck because I didn't get, approval from the client. I'm stuck because I didn't get approval from the client. If you're the team lead, or if you're, the content owner, or if you're, working, you need to go to the client and say, my team can't move forward because they're stuck. You don't want to know about it 2 weeks later, right, when they've been sitting on their hands, right? And then the same token, when you are honest with yourself about, I'm stuck because I need to make an appointment and I don't really want to do that. Or I'm stuck because I need to do this writing and I really don't feel like writing this article. I really don't feel like making this cold call, or really don't feel like. You start realizing the things that you don't want to do. Those are the first things you need to go outsource. That's what happened to me.
That's brilliant.
I figured out what were the things I did not like invoicing. I did not like, making the contracts, or, there were certain things I'm like, oh, it's just cringeworthy. So I started outsourcing those things. And it could be, if you're a business owner, I don't like I'm just going to stay here because I don't want to go clean my house. For goodness sakes, outsource your house cleaning if that makes you a better business owner, right?
It's so true. We make it so hard for some reason.
Yeah. So that really helped me figure out what I needed to outsource, the things that I didn't like doing.
What I love about what you just said, Doreen, is that it also helps hold the team accountable. If someone keeps getting stuck, then it's visible, as opposed to them just keeping it hidden until 2 weeks later, and then you're unburying all of this stuff. I think the brilliance of that and the simplicity. We love to make things so hard for some reason, but it's just the simplicity of that is what makes it so incredibly effective. And believe it or not, we are at time. I could talk for another like half an hour about this. It's amazing. So,
That's awesome.
quick question.
Yes.
What one habit or boundary has supported you in living and leading a more sustainable life?
The daily stand-up, more than anything else. It's the daily stand-up that holds me accountable for what I'm doing, allows me to move forward, has given me clarity on where I'm stuck and what I need to do to get unstuck. And really, helped me grow my business. When I started doing these 4 things, including the daily stand-up, I found 12 hours a week. 12 a week. Right. Which I could have taken as a day and a half to go ski. But what I did is I took on more clients because I realized, and that includes me spending more time with clients. I was doing work that I either wasn't getting paid for, doing work that wasn't satisfying me, doing work that I wasn't getting done because I was resentful of it. So by outsourcing and restructuring my whole day and my whole week, I was able to find 12 hours a week, which then I was able to reinvest and get more clients and make more money, and really so much happier doing what I'm doing by doing these habits, these daily stand-ups, and as well as some of the other things like the sprints that are really helpful.
And they are just amazing for any small team. Where can people reach out to you if they want to learn more about working with you, more about agile teams, and about your Morin Media work?
Yeah, so the best place for me to connect with me on social is LinkedIn, which I love hanging out on LinkedIn. So you can look for my name, Dorien Morin-van Dam. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Morin Media, and Facebook and LinkedIn, I'm Dorien Morin-van Dam. So that's the best place. But LinkedIn, if you send me a message, tell me that you saw me on Lisa's show, and I would love to know, just to know how you're implementing either Agile or how you would like to start, doing this daily stand-up. If you have questions, ask me.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Thank you, Doreen. I really appreciate it. And next week, November 2nd, I cannot even believe, can't even believe that we are into November. It just blows me away. We have Fallon Cryer from Be Live. She is going to be here chatting, and I cannot wait to hear what she has to say. Again, that's November 2nd, 10 a.m. East Coast, 7 a.m. Pacific, for those of you getting up early. And we will see you next week. Doreen, thank you so much for everything.
Thanks for having me.